In today's video, I wanted to talk about payment plans. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another episode of Wine and Design. I have my wine over here that I have been sipping on, and I started filming another video and an episode of me designing a logo, but honestly, it's going to take me longer than I estimated, so I'll probably continue with that video for next week. But I have been thinking about this topic for a while now, and I thought it'd be kind of interesting to dive into it, to talk to you guys about it, and that is payment plans and really how to navigate that with your clients, because it can be kind of tricky. I know for myself, I wasn't sure if I should do set payment plans for every client or give them the option to choose which payment plan fits their needs best. So I do offer payment plans in my business. I think it's a really great sort of offering to include on your proposal. A lot of times if a project is like $2,000 to $4,000 plus dollars, they're not going to want to fork out all of that money right in the beginning. There's definitely clients that will, and I have a $25,000 client that I'm partnered with another company working on, and that's definitely a project where you're going to need to do some sort of payment plan. So I wanted to go into detail in terms of what has worked in my business and what I have noticed people ask me about, just clients ask me, because there's a lot of things to remember you make sure of and that you are clear with from the start, so that you're not regretting setting up a payment plan later on. So first off, I actually give my clients the option to choose what payment plan fits their needs best. So on my proposal, I'll ask the question if they want to do 3 separate payments, 4 separate payments, or 6 separate payments. But what I will say about that is I don't ever want the payments extending past the project completion. I do allow them to choose which option they want, but of course I do make it very clear that this is spread throughout the amount of 6 weeks, or even 10 if that's the amount of time you've quoted them it's going to take you. So definitely consider not only the amount of time the project's going to take you, but if they want to do it bi-weekly versus a 5-week type of payment. So there's a lot of ways you can kind of approach this, and that's why I wanted to make this video, because I have approached it in a lot of different ways, and I'm trying to become more consistent with it, because the more consistent you are with those types of things, the easier it is to communicate with your clients about the same thing. Because if you have one client I thought we were doing bi-weekly, and then another client's I thought we were doing only 3 separate payments, it's just going to get really confusing. So it's better to make sure that you have the same rules for majority of your clients. So I really think it's up to you in terms of if you want to give them the option, or if you're going to just tell them this is how it is. If you can't do it, then maybe it's just not a good fit. And that's kind of the direction I'm going more towards, because I've noticed the more I give the client the option, the more confusing it just gets in my head, because once you get a lot of clients, it's just who's doing what payment plan. DUBSADO definitely helps me with this, because the second they choose their payment plan, I just plug it on in there, and then it sends them the automatic reminder emails. But let's go back to the payment plan topics. My business, like I said, I do give them the option to choose whether they want to do the deposit in 2 separate payments, deposit in 3 separate payments, or deposit in 4 separate payments. It really depends on the project timeline. So I give them that option, but I always require the 15% deposit. My deposit amount is way lower than a lot of designers and a lot of business owners in general. I think that's something I'm also going to start increasing, just because making sure you get a large chunk of the project at the start just really secures the project and kind of keeps the client accountable as well. But for me, 15% has worked, and the more you're charging in total, the more the 15% really is. So for me, it totally works. But I wanted to mention a few things to keep in mind. When you allow your clients to do a payment plan, there's a few things you should really, really make sure of. Number one, you have to include this in your contract or else you will regret it. So make sure you put a line item that says payments must be made despite the project milestone, or despite the project milestone. So payments must be made just based on the payment plan despite the project milestone. Make sure you make that very, very clear, because I've had clients where they're like, you're not done with the second round of logos, so I figured I wouldn't need to pay you this second payment. But in reality, they should be paying you no matter where you're at in the project, because that's just how you set it up in the beginning, and they need to know that right away. So make sure you make that very clear in your contract. And that's something I had to add within the last year or so, because I've had a few unfortunate circumstances where they try and argue the fact that they shouldn't have to pay if we're not as far along as they had envisioned. I allow my clients to have a net 7, meaning they have about 7 days to pay the payment plan on that date. So I kind of just kept it as a week, because I need to know if I should move forward with the project, because if they don't pay me, I completely stop working on it. I don't want to continue working on something that I'm not sure if they're still going to continue to pay me for. So I like to give them at least 7 days to pay me in that payment. So definitely make sure that you are making that clear too, that you're sending them the reminder email, but they have 7 days to pay it. That's also something that you should definitely start to make very clear to your clients. But along with this, I will say that having some sort of project management system like DUBSADO or HoneyBook or some of the other ones I've mentioned before is very important, because I personally cannot sit on my email all day and make sure to remind my clients that their payment is due. So I love DUBSADO for this. It reminds them for me, and it just takes a huge task off my back. So yeah, definitely look into that if you feel like you don't have the time to sit there and remind them and you want to start adding payment plans but you don't have the time. A system like that will really, really help. Also wanted to mention, I've had a few clients come to me and ask if they can do monthly payments, and I kind of dabbled with the idea of doing this because I was very nervous for a while that I'd hit a slow season and I would really want that recurring income like monthly. It just sounded like a really good idea, because some of the clients' projects would end up being like an 8-month payment plan, where they would just pay me one time every month. And I actually still don't really mind the idea of doing this, but there's a few things that you should make sure that you do if you allow your clients to choose the monthly payment plan. So number one, if my client is really asking for that and it seems like that's something that would just fit their needs better, I would definitely let them know that, at least this is for me and my personal, it makes me feel more comfortable about doing monthly, is if they opt into my auto pay option, because if I finish the project and they still have 5 more months of payments, I personally don't want to be afraid that they're not going to pay me those 5 remaining months. So I like to make sure that they opt into my auto pay. But not only that, I don't want to hand over all the materials yet, because if I hand them over, they could easily shut down their card that they used auto pay with and not pay me. That would really suck, and I would definitely hate to have a client that decides to do that, but it could happen, and I want to cover my butt in every way possible. So I not only have them opt into auto pay, but I also hold on to some of their materials. So what that looks like for me is, if I've designed a website for them, I will keep it on my hosting account, make it live under my hosting account, but I will not transfer the website until they pay me the full amount of their payment. Also, another thing to make sure of once they decide they want to do the monthly payment is make a contract that is really based around the monthly payment plan. So make sure you're including option or line items that mention that they've opted into auto pay and that you have the right to pull the payment every month up until that date that you guys have set. Make sure it's just very, very clear in your contract, because it'll really help you down the line. But I do think monthly payment plans can work, and they have worked, and you just have to be very careful about not giving them everything and not having the, their information to get paid, because that would really, really suck. And yeah, it could happen. So definitely kind of tread on that one lightly, but there's ways to work around it. But for me, I personally like to just keep it within the timeline. That way we're not worrying about payments after the project's already completed. So that's just how it works for me. And personally, I probably won't offer monthly payment plans ever. I have offered it like 2 times, and both times I just felt really nervous the whole time. So, but I thought I would touch on that too, because I definitely feel like you might have clients that ask you about it. But overall, payment plans are just really, really great to offer. It just makes clients feel more comfortable, and it allows them to sign a little bit more easily. If they really want to work with you, they'll definitely make that work. So it just makes it a little bit easier for them to make that work. But I really hope this was helpful. I feel like I did a lot of talking, but I definitely wanted to talk about this because I personally have had a lot of changes and growth and learned things through payment plans. And yeah, I really hope that this was helpful. Let me know what you guys do for your business. I would love to hear it. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. If you guys enjoyed this video, I would appreciate it so much if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And I will see you guys in my next one.